Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fit and fine. So, first of all, I just want to wish you a very, very happy new year. And I just wish that this new year brings a lot of joy, happiness, and a lot of success into your life and good health for you and for your families as well. So, that's the first thing that I want to wish you a very, very happy new year. Now we can continue with our lecture for today, that is lecture number 3, chapter number 8, Devotional Path to the Divine, class 7, subject History. So basically in this particular chapter, Devotional Path to the Divine, till now we have studied about different facts about bhakti and worship movements that we have seen since 8th century, and basically the idea of a supreme god. Basically there is one particular supreme god from which every other like religional caste or cultural differences which are there, still we formulate and worship the god, our own god, and that is our own supreme god. So the basic idea of a supreme god is that we recognize our supreme deities and we worship them into our own ritual ways. Now there are different forms of bhakti that we have seen in South India, that is Nayanas and Alvas. The Nayanas are basically the saint devotee to the Shiva and the Alvas are the saints devotee towards Vishnu. Now after that we have studied about philosophy and bhakti. So in that we have talked about two philosophers. The first one was Shankara, that is a bhakti saint, and he is basically Advaita or a doctrine of the oneness of an individual soul. And Ramanujana, he is another bhakti saint who was deeply influenced by the Alvas, and for him his best means of attaining salvation was through the intense devotion by Vishnu. Then we have talked about Basavana's Veera Shivam. In that particular movement, we have talked about how this movement began in Karnataka and that was against from all the forms of rituals and idol worship. Then we have talked about the saints of Maharashtra. Basically, they are saint points of Maharashtra. They are different like male and female saint points which are there who inspire people through their songs in simple Marathi language, and they follow the same kind of rituals and other outward display of pity and social differences based on their birth. Then we have talked about the Nadpanthis, Siddhas and Yogis. Basically they practice yoga and meditation and formulate the same thing in people as well. Now in today's lecture, the topics that we will be covering today will be, first of all we will be talking about Islam and Sufism. So basically Sufi is a kind of a Muslim mystics, and basically they follow their own devotional ways, and in that we'll study about how Islamic people basically devote and what are their formulation towards it. Then we'll talk about new religious development in the North India. So in that we'll be talking about a new way of bhakti movement that began in the North India after the 13th century. So we'll talk in the particular topic only what is basically the new bhakti ways that have been shown in the North India there. Then we'll be talking about a closer look towards Kabir. So you all know who Kabir is. Basically Kabir's teaching were based on the complete rejection of the major religious traditions. So we'll study that, and we'll talk about a closer look towards Baba Guru Nanak. So basically Guru Nanak have always emphasizes in the importance of worship of one God, and he have insisted that we will talk of there should be no caste, creed or gender in the worshipping of that particular God. So basically we'll talk about all these topics in today's lecture, and then I will be talking about the homework solution that I have given you in the previous lecture, and in this particular lecture I will be assigning you one homework that you have to do in your fair notebook. So these will be the things that we'll be covering in today's lecture. So everyone please be ready with your books, with your one notebook to write down the notes and one pen in your hand to write those notes. So I hope so everyone is ready now, so I can start with the class. So first and foremost we are going to start with the topic Islam and Sufism. Now what does it mean? See, basically the saints of Muslims are known as mystics. Like the saints had much in common with the Sufis, so much that it is believed that they adopted many ideas of each other. Like the Muslim community is itself very much different from all the our Indian culture and traditions that we follow. They have their own ideologies, methods of worshipping. So basically their belief is totally different from ours. So Sufis were known as Muslim magistics. Basically, they rejected outward religiosity and emphasized it love and devotion to God and compassion towards all fellow human beings. So, in their community and in their religious community, they have emphasized more towards like their love and devotion towards their God, and the more compassion towards they show towards their own human or fellow human beings that is there. So that has been written in their majestics and their religious output, that they should emphasize more towards the love and devotion towards their God, and they should show compassion towards all their other fellow human beings as well. But this Islam propagated strict monotheism or submission to one God. Basically, strict monotheism means the kind of mythology that they use in their Islamic culture for the submission of one God. Like how you can creature yourself towards your God, how you can show your devotion towards your one God. That is known as monotheism. So basically in that you have to preach towards your God in your own worship ways. So in the 8th and 9th centuries, religious scholars developed different aspects of the holy law, that is Shariat, that is known as theology of Islam. So basically they have wrote a lot of theories about how you can preach your God and how you can devote towards your God in different manners and in different aspects. They have written all these things in their holy law and theology of Islam, that what you can follow and what you cannot, what could be the basic things that they can accept in their religion and what cannot. So in the 8th and 9th century, religious scholars developed different aspects of their holy law, that is Shariat and theology of Islam. While the religion of Islam gradually became more complex, Sufis provided it with an additional dimension that favored a more personal devotion towards their God. So basically all these Sufis have provided a lot of additional dimension that favored a lot personal devotion towards their God. So basically in their particular religion, in their Sufism, it is they are basically very complex. Why? Because they have always favored their God over any other. So their personal devotion is always towards their God more than any other community or any other form of gods. So the Sufis often rejected the elaborate rituals and code of behavior demanded by Muslim religious scholars. So whatever theories that have been written by holy law, the Sufi people were rejecting them, and they think that their rituals and code of behavior is not acceptable by them, because they demanded that they should follow, that they should respect each and everyone's religion, caste, and we should respect each and other human beings, our fellow human beings. But they don't want to follow that. They elaborate their own rituals and their code of behavior that was demanded by the Muslim religious scholars. So they were rejecting them, they were not accepting whatever they have written in their theories. So they sought union with God much as a lover seeks his beloved with a disregarded for the particular word. So basically what their thought are there for how you can devote towards your God and how you can unite yourself with your particular God is their love, that they have shown it in a way that how a lover seeks a particular love from his beloved and with a disregarded for the particular word. So that is a kind of a code that has been given, that what kind of love they want to preach and they want to see. It should be like how a lover seeks his beloved with a disregard for the particular word, means that it is very much apart from the word and it is just between you and that particular beloved. Now, like the same points, the Sufi too compose poems expressing their feelings and a rich literature in prose, including anecdotes and fables. So basically developed around them. So here also all these Sufi people to develop this feeling of like Sufism, of their devotional things. They have expressed it through their how they express their feelings through. So Sufi too compose poems expressing their feeling, and a rich literature in prose they have shown, including their own theories in fables, and in any quotes they have like shown this particular thing. Now, among the great Sufis of Central Asia, there were Ghazali, Rumi, and Sadi. So here they have given certain names to them as well, or to these different poems that they have like started it. So in Sufis of Central Asia, they have given the names like Ghazali, Rumi, and Sadi. Like the Nathpanthis, Siddhas, and Yogis, the Sufi too believe that the heart can be trained to look at the world in a different way. So as you know about the Nathpanthi, Siddhas, and Yogis, they believe that you should train yourself to in such a way that your body reflects and practice the devotional form, the purity towards them. So basically, similarly, the Sufi people were also believing the same thing, that the heart can be trained to look at the world in a very different way. Now basically they developed and elaborate methods of training using zikr. So basically they are having their own like symbolism towards that the name that they have given as the method of training that they use. So they have developed a lot of elaborate methods of training like zikr, that is the chanting of a name or sacred formula. Means आप जैसे हमारे यहाँ पे देयर इज अ पर्टिकुलर मेथड, जैसे ओम 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 हम करते हैं, जैसे चांट करते हैं, तो वहाँ पे दे हैव गिवन अ मेथड ऑफ ट्रेनिंग दैट हाउ यू कैन बेसिकली like kind of a method of training that you should use in terms of practicing meditation or any other like sacred formula that they've been using. They're using a kind of a word zikr. Then contemplation, sama is a kind of a singing, raqs is a form of a dancing, and discussion of parables is also kind of a form. Then breath control, etc. These are the kind of forms that they use as a method of training of their mind and their body to be a very more spiritual and more like pure, and with a lot more peace that you can find in your body. So that's it. So thus they emerge this silsilas, spiritual genealogy of Sufi teachers, each following a slightly different method, that is tariqa of instruction and ritual practice. So this particular method of training was elaborated in a different part of the world, and they emerged this particular silsila, means the kind of this journey, a spiritual genealogy of Sufi teachers, each one following their slightly different method of tariqa of instruction and ritual practices as well. Now a large number of Sufi from Central Asia, they settled in Hindustan from the 11th century onwards. Now there were a lot of Sufi people who were settling down in Hindustan, that was India currently, from the 11th century onwards. Now this process was strengthened with the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate. So you have studied about this in chapter number 3 also, about Delhi Sultanate. So basically, similarly, this particular process was strengthened mostly from Delhi Sultanate only. And when several major Sufi centers were developed all over the subcontinent, the Christi Silsila was among the most influential orders. See, basically you know about the Christi Silsila, that is basically in that you have studied that they regard and they the teachers such as Khwaja, and a lot more other things also that they preach there. Like it had a long line of teachers like Khwaja, Muinuddin Kishti of Ajmer, then Qutubin Bakhter Kaki of Delhi, Baba Farid of Punjab, Khwaja Nizamuddin Ulia of Delhi, and Banavas Gizuraj of Galbarga. So these are the different names that have been given to these lines of teachers who basically preach this Christi Silsila, that is being followed all these methods of teaching of Sufism in their community. Now these Sufi masters have held their assemblies in their खानकास और हॉस्पिसीज बेसिकली मतलब उनकी खुद की कम्युनिटीज जो होती है, मतलब उनके खुद के जैसे हमारे यहाँ पे जैसे कल्चर एंड रिलीजन्स होते हैं डिफरेंट डिफरेंट, उनके में खानकास और हॉस्पीस होते हैं बेसिकली. एंड इन दैट दे आर डिफरेंट सूफी मास्टर्स हु बेसिकली हेल्ड देयर असेंबलीज इन देयर ओन खानकास एंड हॉस्पीस. The devotees of all descriptions, including members of the royalty and nobility and ordinary people, flocked to these khankas. So basically, all the devotees that they were a part of their own communities, they include the members of their own royalty and nobility, and जितने भी ordinary people होते हैं, they flocked with their own khankas. So they discuss spiritual matters, sought of the blessings of the saints in solving their worldly problems, or simply attended the music and dance sessions. So basically they discussed about how we can show our spiritual gestures towards them. So there are certain spiritual matters that need to be shown as a devotee. So as the blessing of the saints in solving their worldly problem, they do certain things like they simply attend the music or they attend the dance sessions as well. Now, often people attributed Sufi masters with miraculous powers that could relieve others of their illness and troubles. So basically, there are a lot of other people who have attributed Sufi masters with their miraculous powers that could relieve others from their illness and troubles. The tomb of Dargah of a Sufi saint become a place of pilgrimage to which thousands of people of all faiths thronged it. So basically where they all go, you know that there's a tomb or dargah that is being made for the Sufi saints to go there and worship their gods. To all the devotees go there and they अपना सर झुकाते हैं वहाँ पे अपने अल्लाह से, वो अपनी जो है प्रीच करते हैं, अपनी जो भी उनकी डिमांड्स होती हैं उनको डिवोट करते हैं अपना लव. So basically all these Sufi masters with miraculous powers that they have, they relieve others with their illness and troubles in there only. Like वो वहीं पे ही सारी चीजें उनकी सॉल्व करते हैं. And they have made all the tombs and dargah of a Sufi saint, and they become a place of pilgrimage to which thousands of people of all faiths flocked it. Now there is new religious developments in the next topic that we are going to talk is about the new religious development that happened in the North India. Now till we have studied about the Sufism and Islamic religion. Now we will talk about the new religious development that we have seen in the North India. See, basically the period after the 13th century, we saw a new wave of the Bhakti movement in the North India. Like this was an age when Islam, Brahminical Hinduism, Sufism, various strains of Bhakti and the Nathpanthis, Siddhas and Yogis influenced one another. So in the 13th century, when from 8th century it began, till 13th century, we have till this particular age, we have seen a lot of variation in the devotees and in the Bhakti system, where there were Islam, there was Brahminical Hinduism, there was Sufism, there was various strains of Bhakti, and there was Nathpanthis, Siddhas, Yogis who influenced one another with their own ways of devotees. Now we saw that new towns, that आपने जो पढ़ा होगा chapter number 6 में, and kingdoms in chapter number 2, 3 and 4 में, were emerging and people were taking up new professions and finding new rules for themselves. So basically at that point of time, people were like emerging with each other and people were taking up new professions and finding new roles for themselves. So such people, especially the craft persons, peasants, traders and laborers, thronged it to listen to these new saints and spread their ideas. So basically at that point of time in the 13th century, there were a lot of new people that was coming up and taking new professions. Their role were like being reversed, and now they are basically coming up with a lot more professions like craftsperson, peasants, traders, laborers and so on. and because of this variation, they listened to new saints and spread their own ideas with their ideologies. Now, some of them, like Kabir and Baba Guru Nanak, they rejected all orthodox religions. So basically, they were two basic saint that came up with their own mythologies, and they have already rejected all those orthodox religions that was going on from a very long period of time. So they were like Baba Kabir Das and Baba Guru Nanak. So others like Tulsidas and Sardas, they accepted an existing beliefs and practices but wanted to make these accessible to all. But इनके अलावा भी ऐसे जो कुछ और भी लोग थे जो they were accepting whatever beliefs and practicing was following from all these ages, and they were accepting their beliefs, but they wanted to be accessible to all the people, not to a limited number of people. So they were Tulsidas and Surdas. They accepted the existing beliefs and their practices, but they wanted to make these accessible to all of them. Now Tulsidas conceived of God in the form of Rama. Like Tulsidas' composition of the Ramcharitmanas, written in Awadhi, a language used in eastern Uttar Pradesh, is important both as an expression of his devotion and as a literary work. So basically, if you have read about Tulsidas' composition that he have wrote about Ramcharitmanas, that is written in Awadhi. Awadhi means it's a kind of a language that we is used in basically in the eastern Uttar Pradesh. Now, in his particular composition, he have expressed about his particular devotion towards Lord Rama, and how basically his love and devotion is very much pure for Lord Rama in his composition. Now, Surdas was an urgent devotee of Krishna. Like Tulsidas was the like follower of Rama here, Lord Rama. Surdas was a devotee of Lord Krishna. And in his composition, you can hear about the compiled in the Sursagara and Saravali and Sahitya Lahari express his devotion towards Lord Krishna only. So उनकी जो भी basic composition थी that he has compiled in Surgasara, Surasarvali and Sahitya Lahari, he have expressed his devotion towards Lord Krishna in them. And also he have wrote a contemporary on basis of Shankara Deva of Assam. Basically in the late 15th century he have wrote about them, and who basically emphasized the devotion to Vishnu. So in there is a different composition of each and every one of them, but their devotions are also different for and they worship different kind of god. So here his composition was first for Lord Krishna, and he has also wrote about Lord Vishnu as well. In his contemporary was Shankara Deva of Assam, who emphasizes devotion to Vishnu, and composed poems and plays in Assamese. He began the practice of setting up namgars or houses of recitation and prayer, a practice that continues to date. So basically they also after all this composition of poems and plays that they have like done in Assam, they began to practice also in setting up of namgars or houses of recitation or prayer, and a practice that continues to date. मतलब उन्होंने जगह बनाना भी शुरू कर दी जहाँ पे they can practice all these compositions with their, they can play their all these devotional activities. They have made houses for them where they can preach, they can do their prayer, and they can practice all their devotional things. Now this tradition also included saints like Dabu Dayal, Ravi Das and Mirabai. So this tradition that was going on by them, Tulsi Das and Sardas, the tradition also included the saints like Dabu Dayal, Ravi Das and Mirabai. Now Mirabai was a Rajput princess. She was married into a royal family of Mewar in the 16th century, and Mirabai became a disciple of Ravi Das and a saint from a caste considerable to untouchable. So you must have heard about Mirabai. She was a kind of a person, and she is a kind of a princess who have always preached towards the untouchable people. and basically after marrying into a royal family of Mewar in the 16th century, she still was kind of a follower of a saint that was Ravidas, and despite of having caste discrimination, she was still there. Now she was devoted towards more of Krishna and composed innumerable bhajans expressing her intense devotion. Now this is clear cut that you have read about that Mirabai was a devotee, the devotion level is unconditional towards Krishna ji, Lord Krishna, and she has composed a lot more bhajans expressing her intense devotion towards Lord Krishna in her bhajans. Now her songs also openly challenge the norms of the upper caste and become popular with the masses in Rajasthan and Gujarat. So basically her songs have also opened different challenges that the norms of the upper caste people are facing, and she became very popular in the masses of Rajasthan and Gujarat with her songs. Now, a unique feature of most of the saints is that their works were composed in religious languages and could be sung as well. So, basically, all the saints who were composing all their composition, poems, bhajans, and all these. So, basically, there was a kind of a unique feature of all the saints was that their works were composed in a way in their own regional language, first of all, and they could sing. They could also sing and elaborate their devotion towards their God through their religious language only. So they become immensely popular, and they were handed down orally from generation to generation by their songs only. So basically they become so popular, and still now we know about their names. We know about what kind of like bhajans, kirtan that we sing today, and it is basically written by them only. So they were immensely popular in from one generation to another, and still it is there. Like usually the poorest, more deprived communities and women transmitted these songs and often adding their own experiences as well. Now whatever they have written, use the poorest of all or the other communities as well, and also women also, they were all transmitting their songs and adding their own experiences in those songs, and they were singing it in different part of their country. Now thus the songs as we have them today are as much as a creation of the saints of the nations of people who sung them. So basically now it is being changed a lot because the experiences that we have add on into them. But these songs, जो भजन से आप सुनते हो, जो devotional songs आप सुनते हो, basically they were first created by the saints only, and now they are a little bit developed from them by adding their own experiences, and now it is a complete changeover. But still the creation of the saints as a generation of people who sung them was there. The impact is still there. So they have become a part of our living popular culture. So because of them we are having this particular culture, that we are having a lot of traditional songs, we have our regional languages songs, and we are living in such a popular culture. Now another topic that we are going to study is a closer look towards Kabir. So Kabir Das, you know about, you have read about his poetries, his prose in your books as well. Now Kabir, who probably lived in the 15th or 16th century, was one of the most influential saints. So basically he was brought up in a family of Muslim Julas or weavers settled in or near the city of Benares, that is Varanasi currently. So basically he probably lived in the 15th or 16th century, and he is one of the most influential saints that we have currently. He was brought up in a family of Muslim Julas or weavers. Basically weavers means who are basically doing this activities, जैसे या जो कूड़ा ले जाते हैं या फिर और इधर से उधर सामान पहुंचाते हैं, उनको हम वेवर सेटल्ड कहते हैं. और he was basically in a city called Benares, that is Varanasi currently. We have very little reliable information about his personal life, and we get to know of his ideas from a vast collection of verses called sakis and pads that have been said to have been composed by him and sung by wandering bhajan singers. So basically, we don't know much about his personal life, but we know about his ideologies and methods that he want to preach towards the people by his collection of verses that he have mentioned in his Sakhis and in his paths that he used in his prose and in his poems, and he basically that is composed by him only and sung by wandering bhajan singers as well. Now some of these were later collected and preserved in the Guru Granth Sahib, पंचमनी एंड बिजक एज वेल. सो बेसिकली उन्होंने जो जो सॉन्ग्स लिखे थे, जो जो अपने नंबर ऑफ क्रॉस लिखे थे, नाउ दे हैव अ गुड आफ्टर व्हेन ही हैव रिटन इट, they it was basically after that it is later they collected by and preserved by the Guru Granth Sahib to Panchwani and Bijak as well. Now Kabir's teaching were based on a completely indeed vehement of rejection of the major religious traditions that was settling there. So Kabir's teaching was based on a complete indeed vehement. Vehement is a kind. Vehement means basically a kind of a thing that others are preaching, but you have your own ideology with it. So ideologies are basically that you believe in them. That whatever things that you are doing, that you like, you want to believe in them. So the rejection of the major religious tradition, he was rejecting them. So his teachings openly ridiculed all forms of external worship of both Brahminical Hinduism and Islam, and preeminence of the priestly classes and the caste system too. So basically in his teaching he have eradicated all forms of external worships that is given by Brahminical Hinduism and Islam, and he have he is always indicated towards more of giving away this thing that every one God is one, and you need to like take each and every one all together, precise with whichever class they belong to, whichever caste system they belong to. And if you are going to follow this Brahminical Hinduism and Islamic system, he was basically not indicating all these theories in them. So the language of his poetry was a form of spoken Hindi. He have always written his poetry in the form of spoken Hindi, while that is understood by ordinary people too. So he also sometimes used cryptic language, which is difficult to follow. Most of these poetries are very simple and ordinary people can understand it. That is there in spoken Hindi only. But he also have written some of his poems in cryptic language. Now cryptic language is like a mixture of both Islamic and Hinduism, so which is very difficult to follow and understand. Now Kabir believed in a formless supreme God, and he preached that the only path to salvation was through bhakti or devotion. So similarly Kabir also follow and formulate this idea of supreme God, that God is one, and if you want to follow that particular path of salvation, you can follow it through a lot of bhakti and devotion towards your God only. Now Kabir also drew his followers from among both Hindus and Muslims. So Kabir have his own followers, and it comes from both. Hindus are also there and Muslims are also there, who preach them and who basically devote them. Now the last topic of this particular chapter is a closer look towards Baba Guru Nanak. You all heard about them, and he is one of the priests that we like adore and we devote a lot. Basically the Punjabi community devote towards them a lot. So we know more about Baba Guru Nanak, that he was there from 1469 to 1539. Then about Kabir. He was born in Talwandi in Nanaka Sahib in Pakistan, and he travelled widely before establishing a centre at Kartarpur, that is Dera Baba Nanak on the river Ravi. Now a regular worship that consisted of the singing of his own hymns was established there for his followers. So basically the life story of Baba Guru Nanak that they have written, that where he was born in Talwandi, that is currently that is there in Pakistan at Nanakna Sahib. Nankana Sahib, that is there in Pakistan. He traveled widely and established here center mainly in Kartarpur, that is there in India only, that is there in Dera Baba Nanak on the river Ravi. Now a regular worship that consisted of his own singing of his own hymns was established there for his followers. Irrespective of their former creed, caste or gender, his followers ate together in the common kitchen called langar. The kind of if you go to like these gurudwaras, you have eaten langar. So basically, this formulation was given by Baba Guru Nanak only. That irrespective of आप किसी भी कास्ट से बिलोंग करो, आप किसी भी जेंडर के हो, कुछ भी हो, you are a human being and they treat human being as God. So his all the followers have eaten together as in the common kitchen, and this formulation langar is going on till now. Now the sacred space thus created by Guru Nanak was known as Dharamshala. तो and similarly उन्होंने ऐसा ही एक sacred space बनाया था जहाँ पे किसी भी इंसान को अगर विश्राम करना हो या फिर रहना हो तो वो रह सकते हैं, और उनको उस चीज को उन्होंने नाम दिया था धर्मशाला. इट इज नाउ नोन एज गुरुद्वारा नाउ, बट पहले उसको वो धर्मशाला कहते थे कि आप अपनी प्रीच करने के लिए या फिर अगर आपको प्रार्थना करनी है, आपको कुछ भी करना है, आपको रेस्ट करना है, आपको पीस मतलब कहीं कोई जगह चाहिए तो आप हमारे गुरुद्वारा में आ सकते हो. आपको खाना मिलेगा, आप बिना खाना खाए नहीं जाओगे, आपको आराम करने के लिए जगह मिलेगी. सो दैट्स व्हाई नाउ दैट प्लेस इज नोन एज गुरुद्वारा, बट पहले उसको धर्मशाला कहते थे. So before his death in 1539, Baba Guru Nanak appointed one of his followers as his successor. So मतलब उनके पाथ को जो आगे लेके जाए, उनके पूर्वजों को जो आगे लेके जाए. So he has appointed one of his followers as his successor. His name was Lena, and but he came to be known as Guru Angad. Guru Angad, he was signifying that he was a part of Guru Nanak himself. So basically Guru Angad, he was compiled the composition of Baba Guru Nanak, and to which he added his own in a new script known as Gurmukhi. So basically उनके जो गुरु नानक जी ने अपने स्पिरिचुअल्स लिखे थे, जो अपने कंपोजिशन लिखे थे, गुरु आनंद ने उस चीज को ही आगे कंपाइल करते हुए अपने कुछ चीजें ऐड करके अपनी एक स्क्रिप्चर लिखी थी, जिसको हम बेसिकली गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब में भी हम उसमें ऐड ऑन हुई थी वो बेसिकली, or that script was known as Gurmukhi. So the three successors of Guru Angad also wrote under the name of Nanak, and all of their consumption or composition were compiled by Guru Arjan in 1604. So basically उनके जो भी compositions बने थे starting from गुरु नानक जी, उसके बाद गुरु अंगद ने भी अपने जो composition है उसमें add on करवाई थी. Then he have wrote a lot about Nanak ji also in his composition, and basically everything was compiled all together by Guru Arjan in 1604. Now to this compilation were added the writings of other figures like Sheikh Farid, Sant Kabir, Bhagat Namdev, and Guru Tegh Bahadur. So in 1706 this compilation was authenticated by Guru Tegh Bahadur's son and successor, and they have written by Guru Gobind Singh. So it is now if जितनी भी उनकी composition थी, compilation थी, अभी आप जैसे वो आप अगर कभी गुरुद्वारा जाते हो तो आप जैसे वहाँ पे जो भी वो मतलब भजन गाते हैं, जो भी वो चीजें बोलते हैं, that is these all are composition of all these only, and it is basically compiled by Guru Tegh Bahadur's son and successor of Guru Gobind Singh, and it is now known as Guru Granth Sahib. That's a holy scripture of the Sikhs, जिसको हम प्रीच करते हैं जब आप गुरुद्वारा जाते हो, जहाँ पे आप मत्था टेकते हो. That is being given there, that particular book, जिसके ऊपर उन मतलब हम शॉल चढ़ाते हैं और जो भी चढ़ाते हैं, हम प्रीच करते हैं, हम मत्था टेकते हैं. दैट इज नोन एज गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब ओनली. दैट्स द होली स्क्रिप्चर ऑफ द सिक्स, एंड अ नंबर ऑफ बाबा गुरु नानक फॉलोअर्स इंक्रीज्ड थ्रू द 16th century under his successor only. Now they belong to a number of castes, but like traders, agriculturists, artisans, and craftsmen predominant. So basically इस पर्टिकुलर चीज को, जो बहुत सारे ऐसे फॉलोअर्स है जो फॉलो करते हैं, दे उनका कोई नंबर नहीं है, लाइक दे बिलोंग टू अ नंबर ऑफ डिफरेंट कास्ट, ट्रेडर्स, एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट, आर्टिशियन, क्राफ्टमैन, बहुत सारे हैं. दिस मे हैव समथिंग टू डू विद बाबा गुरु नानक. मतलब उन्होंने इन सारे लोगों के बारे में लिखा है अपनी गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब में. मतलब उन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ इनके बारे में लिखा है. आई डोंट नो मतलब उनसे मिले हैं क्या है उनके बारे में, क्यों लिखा गया है, बट है. So insisted that his followers must be householders and should adopt productive and useful occupation. So उन्होंने इन सारे लोगों के बारे में इसलिए लिखा है, so that his followers should have a good house, and they should adopt a lot of productivity for themselves and useful occupations. They were also expected to contribute to the journal funds of the community of followers. So in his like composition he have wrote that कि people should give also. गिव मतलब जो भी वो कमा रहे उसमें से कुछ ऐसी कंट्रीब्यूशन भी दे फॉर द जनरल फंड, सो दैट बाकी लोगों का भी भला हो. ये दैट वाज देयर मेन आइडियोलॉजी. सो द बाय बिगिनिंग ऑफ द 17th century द टाउन ऑफ रामदासपुर दैट इज देयर इन अमृतसर हैड डेवलप्ड अराउंड द सेंट्रल गुरुद्वारा कॉल्ड हरमंदिर साहिब, दैट इज द गोल्डन टेम्पल दैट इज देयर. इट वाज वर्चुअली सेल्फ गवर्निंग एंड मॉडर्न हिस्टोरियंस refer to the early 17th century and the Sikh community as a state within the particular state. Now the Mughal Empire, Jahangir looked upon them as a potential threat and he ordered the execution of Guru Arjan in 1606 with that. So basically how basically ये जो सबसे पहला जो था by the beginning of the 17th century उन्होंने अमृतसर में, जिसको आप करंटली यू नो हरमंदिर साहिब एज गोल्डन टेम्पल की तरह जानते हो, इट इज द फर्स्ट वन जिसको एक वो गुरुद्वारा बनाया गया था. उस चीज में ये गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब को फिक्स किया गया था, वहां पे रखा गया था सबसे पहले. एंड देयर ओनली एवरी उन्होंने ये सिख कम्युनिटी ने सेटअप किया था विद इन देयर ओन स्टेट. बट उसके साथ में जो मुगल एम्पायर थे दैट वाज जहांगीर, he looked upon them as a potential threat कि मतलब उनके जो है रिलीजन को ये खतरा हो सकता है. So they have execution towards Guru Arjan Singh in 1606. So the Sikh movement began to get politicized in the 17th century. तो उनकी वजह से एक बहुत ही पॉलिटिकल सिनेरियो मिल गया था सिख, जो कि एक सिख जो मूवमेंट निकला था उनकी वजह से. एंड देयर वाज अ डेवलपमेंट विच culminated in the institution of the Khalsa by Guru Gobind Singh in 1699. So the community of the Sikhs called the Khalsa Panth become a political entity at that point of time with them, because एक political scenario बन गया था जहाँ पे मुगल एम्पायर वर्सेस सिख मूवमेंट चल रहा था वहाँ पे, इसी वजह से. Now the changing historical situation during the 16th and the 17th century influenced the development of the Sikh movement, and the idea of Baba Guru Nanak had a huge impact on this development from the very beginning. See basically अगर हमने एक जो historical changes जो आ रहे थे that was during the 16th and 17th century mostly, and they have influenced a lot of Sikh movement. Like the idea of Baba Guru Nanak had a huge impact on his development from a very beginning. He emphasized the importance of the worship of one God. कि गॉड एक है, उसी को हम फॉलो करते हैं. उनके लिए सुप्रीम गॉड वही है कि जो भी है हमारा जो गुरु है, जो हमारे नानक है, वो एक ही है. इंस्टेड दैट कास्ट, क्रीड और जेंडर वाज इररिलेवेंट फॉर अटेनिंग लिबरलाइजेशन. मतलब अगर आपको उनके दर्शन करने हैं या फिर आपको उनको पाना है तो उसके लिए आप किसी भी कास्ट के हो, किसी भी क्रीड के हो, किसी भी जेंडर के हो, ये सारी चीजें मायने नहीं रखती. His idea of liberation was not that of a one state to inherent bliss, and rather to pursuit of active life with a strong sense of social commitment. So basically his idea of liberation was कि not that the आपका जो state है कि मतलब इस गॉड मतलब मंदिर जाओ या फिर इन गॉड को प्रीच करो तो आपको लाइक सक्सेशन मिलेगा या फिर आपको एक अच्छी लाइफ मिलेगी. उनके लिए ये है कि जितना आप दोगे, जितना आप सोशली लोगों की हेल्प करोगे, जितना आप लोगों को मदद करोगे, खाना खिलाओगे या फिर उनको प्रीच करोगे, उतना ही स्ट्रॉन्ग आपका वेलबींग होगा. सो ही हिमसेल्फ यूज द टर्म्स नम, दान एंड स्नान फॉर द एसेंस ऑफ हिज टीचिंग, विच एक्चुअली मेंट right worship, welfare of others and purity of conduct. उनका मेन मोटिव ही यही था ऑफ लिबरलाइजेशन, टू प्रीच दैट कि दूसरों की मदद करो, मतलब लोगों की मतलब आपके लिए वर्शिप का मतलब यही होना चाहिए कि आप दूसरों की मदद करो, यू आर देयर फॉर वन अनदर, आप दूसरों का दर्द कम कर पा रहे किसी भी वे में, उनको खाना खिला के, उनको एक जगह दे के रहने के लिए, दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ द थिंग उनके लिए बस यही है, दैट इज नम धन एंड इज नान, दैट इज worship, welfare of others and purity of conduct. Now his teaching are now remembered as नाम जपना, कीर्त करना और वंद वंच करना. So basically which also underline the importance of right belief and worship, honest living and helping others. So basically सिख रिलीजन का में उनकी टीचिंग में सबसे प्योर चीज यही है कि उन्होंने अपनी जो चीजें लिखी गई हैं उसमें हम भगवान जी को कुछ नहीं दे रहे हैं. आप कह रहे हैं अगर आपको मदद करनी है आप दूसरों की मदद करो. आप अगर हम भगवान जी में बिलीव करते हो, उनकी वर्शिप करते हो, तो अपने से ऑनेस्ट रहो. अगर आप एक मतलब वो सच्चाई के पाथ में चलोगे, दूसरों की मदद करोगे, तो आपका भला ही होगा. ये दैट वाज द काइंड ऑफ टीचिंग दैट दे हैव स्प्रेड. So thus Baba Guru Nanak's idea of equality had social and political implications as well. So basically उनके जो आइडिया थी that is सब एक हैं, सब इक्वल हैं, कोई सोशल पॉलिटिकल implications नहीं आती उन सारी चीजों में. This might partly explain the difference between the history of the followers of Baba Guru Nanak, क्योंकि उन्होंने सबको एक equally treat किया था हमेशा से. So the history of the followers of the other religious figures of the medieval centuries like Kabir, Ravidas and the whose idea was very familiar to or similar to those of Baba Guru Nanak Muni, जिसमें उन्होंने सबको equally treat किया था, जहाँ पे वो किसी के लिए कोई अलग नहीं था. Similarly in his teaching also he have preached towards equality more. Now that's it for today's lecture and the chapter is being finished. Now we'll continue with homework solutions. So I've given you 4 questions. So these are the answers that you can write down. The first is about you have to write a note about Shankara. Shankara is one of the most influential philosopher of India. Was born in Kerala in the 8th century. He was an advocate of Advaita. He is a doctrine of the oneness of the individual soul and the supreme God, which is the ultimate reality. He taught that Brahman, the only or ultimate reality, was formless and without any attributes. He considered the world around us to be an illusion or Maya. He preached renunciation of the world and adoption of the path of knowledge to understand the true nature of Brahman and attain salvation. Now answer number 2 about the note about Ramanujana was he was born in Tamil Nadu. In the 11th century, he was deeply influenced by the Alvars. According to him, the best means of attaining salvation was through the intense devotion to Vishnu. Vishnu, in his grace, helped the devotee to attain the bliss of union with him, and he advocated the doctrine of Vishwa Advaita or qualified oneness. It is that the soul, even when united with the Supreme God, remained distinct, and Ramanujana's doctrine greatly inspired the new string of bhakti which developed the North India afterwards. Now question number 3, the connection between the Tamil Bhakti movement and temple worship is best represented in the Veerashavya movement initiated by Basavana and his companions like Alma Prabhu and Akma Devi. This movement began in Karnataka in the mid-12th century, and the Veerashivas urged strongly for the equality of all human beings and against Brahminical ideas about caste and the treatment of women. They were also against all forms of ritual and idol worship. Now answer number 4, beliefs and practices of the Nathpanthi, Siddhas and Yogis are criticism of ritual and other aspects of conventional religion, renunciation of the world, path of salvation in meditation on the formless, ultimate reality and realization of oneness, intense training of mind and body through practices like yoga, asana, breathing exercises and meditation. Now these are the homework questions that you have to do. The first question is briefly write about the teaching of Islam. Question number two, it describes the contribution of Mirabai. Question number three, briefly write about Kabir. And question number four, how was Guru Granth Sahib was compiled. So these are the four homework questions that you have to do. So if you are feeling any doubt, any queries related to any of the today's lecture topics or homework solution or homework, you can let me know in the online class. I will be explaining you the topics there as well, but still if there's any queries, anything that you are not able to understand, please let me know in the online class. We'll be discussing your doubts and queries here. So that's it for today's lecture. Please take care of yourself and have a great day. And thank you so much for listening to this lecture.